Achieving a tie-dye effect with sublimation is something that somebody's recently discovered, and I really like the idea. But I thought to try something other than t-shirts in today's video. So let's play around with a few things. My name is Kelly, and let's get clacking. We're going to be using these scarves that I bought from Pep, as you can see, for 39 Rand. For all of you non-South Africans, that's around $3, and it's about a 40 by 40 scarf, 100% polyester scarf. And I'm going to just take this tag off. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using these two A3 sublimation prints that I've used with my A4 sublimation printer and just stitched them together with my A3 method. I will leave a link to that at the end of this video, as it is very useful for people like me who can't necessarily afford an A3 sublimation printer. We're going to try and tie-dye this with this page. So we're going to start by opening up the scarf. We're going to be employing the same tie-dye method as what they normally do, but obviously we'll have quite different results, and I'm quite keen to see what it looks like because in my head it looks amazing. So we're going to use that middle point as our starting point. Just want to keep track of it as I open the scarf. One of my favorite tie-dye methods is like the circle one. So what they do is they find the middle point or whichever point they want to start with, but I'd like to do mine in the middle. So they take it, they grab it with their two fingers and they turn. And then you keep turning, trying not to let it bunch up, but rather bunch around. So then I like to kind of put my hand flat and turn it. And once you get to this stage, you can actually just move the edges around. Okay, like that. We want to make sure that it all fits underneath this. So when we can probably do this on the press, but we want to try and get as much of it as possible to fit underneath. It doesn't all have to fit, but it'll look nice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to transfer it onto my Teflon pressing pad just to try and keep the shape as much as possible. Try and maintain that middle circle. Bearing in mind that everything that's on the top is going to get sublimated and hopefully the stuff on the sides is not. Obviously that's kind of the premise of what we're doing. So we want to keep that as level as possible. Try and pull out the little super creased bits like that, as it will obviously affect the end result. What you can even do if you want to keep it in a perfect circle is to take your heat tape and tape the pieces together. Like those ones are being a bit stubborn. So you just take the edges and tape it. Might work, might not. Let's see. Tape them in there. Might even want to take the tab off entirely because I'm pretty sure that will melt. So let's just take that off, tape that in there. So now when we press onto it, like I said, there are little bits that'll stick out on the edges. If you really want to, you can make it a little bit tighter, but it's really not the end of the world. I'm going to put this off to the side and we will start with the second one. Exact same material. Let's just take this tag off and we're going to try a little bit of a different method. So with this one, I'm actually going to use the circular tie-dyed graphic, and I want this one to be a little bit more haphazard. So you can kind of lay it out like that if you want and bunch it up. This is the method that a lot of people use on TikTok at the moment, where they take a t-shirt and they bunch it up in certain places, place that on top and then press it. And it looks quite fractured depending on how you bunch up, but we can always do something like that and we can just test that method. So we take that, you'll put it on top, and you can even again push it underneath. You can tape it down if you want, it's not really necessary, and then you can press that. So we're going to try those two different methods and we're going to see what the end result is. Super keen. Okay, so we're obviously going to be starting with our first one, and that is our rainbow-ish color. And I'm going to be putting it down on the press, tucking those sections in a little bit more. Okay, so that kind of transferred off amazingly, and I'm super keen to see what this looks like when it's not a pancake. As we can see, it kind of separates all the sections there. Okay, so we see it didn't quite go through on the other side, but if we look at the entire pattern, we can see how kind of fractured it is, which is really pretty. So it's a very subtle kind of press, but obviously we've got a nice color gradient coming through there. So it's like a very fractured press, which is exactly what we wanted. Now, obviously what you can do with this is you can essentially do the same thing over again. So you can print another one and maybe make it a little bit more of a messy bunch up, and then kind of maybe hide some of those sections and then press it again if you want it more saturated. But I think that looks really pretty. Okay, so this is the one that we had that we kind of bunched up. I actually want to change this method after seeing that. So what I want to do is I want to fold it in half, and I'm going to crumple it up like that. So we get a little bit more concentrated color on the one side. And then while this presses, I'm going to print another one of these, and when this is done, I'm going to flip it over and press exactly the same thing on the other side. Okay, so that looks pretty incredible, but then what we will do is we will just flip this over, hopefully keep it exactly as it is now, and get it on the other side. So we have our second page, and I'm going to place it on top here. Okay, so the yellow section's here, so I'm actually going to try and put the yellow there as well. And let's see what happens. Exciting. So let's see what this one looks like. Oh wow, that looks really pretty. So I mean, if you were to wear this as a scarf around your neck, I mean, it would look super cool. Obviously the lighting is a little bit awful. Let's say you had that as a scarf like that. I think that looks super cool. I'm actually going to try something else with the other one. So with the first one that we did with that color, I think we twisted it that way. I'm going to put this underneath because I think it might be a little bit easier to turn. Okay, so we twisted that way, so we're going to twist that way. I'm going to press it again. Always looks super awesome. And of course now we have an even more saturated scarf. All the green in the middle, and then we've got some yellows and some greens over there. These also look pretty with some even on the other side. So we can really see just how beautiful this actually is. Absolutely stunning. I'm thrilled with the results, thrilled. So we have our tie-dye, fractured sublimation, and then our kind of ombre color, fractured sublimation. So if we do the same with this one, a little bit overexposed, but I'm sure you get the idea. Very, very cool. Let me just hold it up here for you guys to see. Looks super cool. And then we show you this one. So of course you can try this method on t-shirts as well as things like scarves. Obviously with scarves you kind of need a little bit more sublimation print paper. I used 3 full-page color prints for each of these, so it's 6 color prints in total. When you're pricing that, if you're wanting to sell these, then just keep that in mind. Obviously it's a lot of sublimation ink that you're using. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment to let me know if you're going to be trying this and what kind of garments you're actually going to be trying it on. If you would like to help me support my channel, I have a link to a buy me a coffee in the description. I would greatly appreciate any support. I really, really love doing all these videos for you guys. And I would again like to say a huge shout out to Bulk Ink in South Africa for sending me the sublimation ink. I mean, this ink is very vibrant, as you can see. I'm thrilled with the results. Subscribe to my channel for more craft tutorials in the future, and I'll see you next week's video. And remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.